Hey, how you doing there, my dear friends? So good to see you. I'm Dan, live in beautiful, beautiful Oak Lawn, Illinois. So great to see you. Here's a little thought I've had on my mind here recently for various reasons I won't go into, but this is the thought I've had. Sometimes the hardest person to really be honest with is, ourselves. Ourselves. We deceive ourselves. We do this. We deceive ourselves sometimes by overlooking things that we shouldn't overlook. We just flat out deny sometimes. That's one of the ways. We pretend things are different than they really are. That's one of the ways that we do this. And this is because there's an old saying that tells us exactly why this is. This is because the truth hurts. Oh, not always. There's some pleasant truths, I know, but sometimes the truth really does hurt. And in those situations in which the truth is painful for us, it's not unusual for us then to just avoid the truth. Just avoid it. That's how we handle it. Matter of fact, we can be incredibly clever as human beings. We can be downright shrewd when it comes to the various ways that we deny painful truths. It's extraordinary how good we are at this. I've seen people, as a pastor, people come and talk to me. I've seen people convince themselves of extraordinary things in order to deny the truth. It's remarkable, really. It's almost impressive how good we are at denying the truth. And if you're thinking right now, well, you're so right, Dan. I know other people aren't always honest with themselves. I know that happens. I'm with you, Dan. You have nailed it this time. This is not something I struggle with, but other people, boy, do they ever struggle with that one. If that's how you're thinking, then you're precisely the person who needs to hear this. I say this to you with love because it's those kinds of thoughts about yourself. This can happen to anybody else but not me. It's those kinds of thoughts that are a great example of you being dishonest with you. Be very willing to take an honest look at yourself. It can sting, I know. I've done it and it stings. It can sting a little bit, but that's okay. Be willing to admit that you're flawed. That you're to join the club, that you're imperfect, that you're capable of error. But here's another thing that's helpful here. Don't just admit these things sort of in a general sense. Like, be willing to look hard and admit and acknowledge specific errors, specific shortcomings, specific problems that have come up before. Because what I've discovered is that it's not unusual that people will admit general truths about themselves that aren't so pleasant. Like, they'll just say, like in a general sense, well, I'm not perfect. But it's more common for us to sort of run back to the comforting arms of denial if it's time to face specifics, like specific times, specific places, specific people where we've messed up. That's a little bit harder. But in the long run, being willing to be honest with ourselves, really, friends, really, it's not easy, but it will serve us well. Real, true self-awareness, self-honesty is a pathway to growth. It's a pathway to significant growth. In fact, it's part of the pathway that leads us to becoming genuinely wise. And wisdom sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. And we can always use more of it in our world.